Marital problems are affecting our children. My name is Paul Friedman. I founded the Marriage Foundation, and I'm not going to just agree with you. It's pretty obvious to you if you're looking at these videos, then you know it's affecting your children. And I'm going to talk about it, and I'm going to give you a little bit of background, but more than that, we have to make it so it's not happening. And we're not going to just patch leaks in the boat of your marriage. That's not where it's at. We're not going to send your children to therapy. That's not where it's at. That's like jumping off of a building and then someone telling you need to go to the hospital. Let's prevent you from jumping off the building. So the first thing I want to do is I want to confirm, and it's universally known, although it's not universally accepted, believe it or not, that marital problems affect the kids. Now, in some cases, there's nothing you can do about it. There's some cases where a husband or a wife is clinically, psychologically having problems, and they need medication, but they won't take any medication. They won't do anything about it. And in those cases, there's nothing that you, as the other spouse, can do except for be careful not to trigger your spouse. Obviously, you want to try and persuade them to get some professional help. And at this level, we're not talking about therapists, we're talking about a psychiatrist, because they need to have that kind of help. You know, there's a big distinction. A lot of people don't know this. There's a big distinction between therapeutic help from a counselor, a therapist, and therapeutic help from a psychiatrist who is actually a medical doctor who has in their arsenal medication which is needed in some cases for people who are having some serious problems. In those cases, think about it in terms of their software is somehow troubled. They have a problem, a real problem, and it's physiological. I once asked a psychiatrist, what is the difference between someone who needs therapy and someone who needs your help? And he said to me, sometimes a person who needs my help also needs therapy, but the person who needs my help, the help of a psychiatrist, has a biological problem that medication can help, can't solve, seems to solve on that level of operation, interaction in the world. But if you have a biological problem, it's sort of having a broken arm. You have to live with it. You can medicate it, treat it so it's not as painful, that it's not as disruptive, but it's there. So in those cases, when there's that kind of problem with one of the parents, it's a very difficult situation. And there's no lecturing here, no admonishment. In some cases, separation is necessary if that parent is not willing to do something and it's really hurting the children. You know, maybe they throw things at the kids and scream at them. So those are the cases where the problem runs deep. Most cases, though, it is frankly just, and please don't take this personally, because all of us are imperfect. But some of us are more imperfect in different ways than other of us. But we live in a world that is very self-centered, you might say. There's a lot of people, most people are raised with this idea of taking care of themselves. And so they don't consider things like mother and father fighting in front of the kids, how it affects the kids. There's even therapists out there, way too many of them, who say, well, you have to learn how to argue. Well, that's crazy. You got married in order to be happy, so arguing doesn't fit in a marriage at all. Zero. So when you're talking about marital problems affecting the kids, oftentimes, great percentage, is we're arguing in front of the kids, and that's what's affecting the kids. It hasn't gotten to the point of where dad is running around and bringing his mistress around. It's not like that. It's arguing. And arguing can be stopped because it takes two to argue. It's different than marriage improvement, and people leave comments sometimes and they say, oh, it takes two. Well, this is false. It takes one to improve a marriage. Truly, it takes one. But let's go back to this arguing. It takes two. Because arguing is person A saying something that is not nice, and person B, or two, is reacting. Bam, 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 and it escalates. That's an argument. A discussion is person A presents their point of view. Person B says, They don't become defensive. They listen. And if they disagree, they say, okay, let me try to understand your perspective a little bit more. Can you elaborate on this point or that point? That's a discussion. And people who are mature and wise discuss. They never let it go to argument. Argument is, hey, I think the kitchen should be painted red. Person B goes, are you freaking kidding me? You want a red kitchen? Well, your mother is not so hot either. Yeah, well, you have cooties. And bam, we have a big argument. Argument is one person stating their point of view, maybe not in a nice way, and the other person reacting, and then it creates a cycle. So I teach, and I think it's just common sense, that there should be zero tolerance for argument on both of your parts, but zero tolerance for yourself, because you can't control your husband or wife. You can only control yourself. So, one technique that I teach, for instance, is called the bowling ball and feather technique. So the person who starts the argument says something that the other person sees the words coming at them as if it were a bowling ball coming at them, and they decide, I'm going to be a feather. And when the bowling ball comes, the feather just flies away. So it's simple, as I state that, right? But you do really need to practice some kind of distancing, which is why I've created this whole different approach to marriage than anyone else out there has. I really have. And this approach requires some understanding of yourself for what you are, not who you are, but for what you are, so you could gain some detachment during these moments when you need detachment. So simply stated, you're a soul who has a mind and has a body. And the soul, that's you, that's the real you, is in charge of the mind and the body, and they don't allow the mind to engage in these immature behaviors. They rise above, and their immature own behaviors. And I use that term immature because I have seen myself be immature, and I know it's an offensive term if you don't take it properly. And so this is the point. If you allow your mind to take it incorrectly, because the mind wants to be defensive, because it's driven by the drive to survive, which is innate in the body. So I know I'm going a little too deep in this. So let's go back to what this video is all about. This video is all about the children being affected by two human beings who the children are stuck with, who are arguing, or in other ways not getting along, and the children are really taking that on. And they're taking it on in a very heavy way because the children are 100% dependent on you as parents. They have no place else to go. You guys can go to the movies, you could go meet with your other friends, you could go to the gym, you could go to the bookstore. Your kids have no place to go. They only have you and your wife or husband. You're their rock. Their rock split in two and is turning on each other. That is so traumatic for your kids. All of the other stuff is almost irrelevant. A friend of mine, I used to be a divorce mediator years back before I became a marriage saver, and I had a friend, Robert, who was also a divorce mediator, and he told me about another friend of his who was a divorce judge, who said, for the kids, it's like, imagine you go to a planet and you have two bodyguards and they turn on each other. And I thought, wow, that is deeply profound, because that's what's happening. You're the bodyguards of your children. Much more than that, but it's a good illustration. But you're their bodyguards, and right in front of them, their bodyguards are not getting along. The dangers of the world, which are not small, huge dangers in this world, they're now susceptible to all those dangers. They're scared. And they react in different ways. Some of the kids bury it. Some of the kids take sides. Some of the kids totally freak out, but they're all in trouble. Every single kid is in trouble. It's universally known. There's a bazillion studies out there that show that kids who are in this environment, which grows when it turns into a divorce, and usually it does, statistically speaking, because the momentum builds and the parents don't know what to do to save their marriage. And those kids don't do as well in life as other kids. So what do you do? What do you do? Well, you heal the marriage. You heal the marriage. It's really not this complex question. Now, therapists who don't know how to heal marriages, and they don't, will tell you it's better to divorce than fight in front of your kids. And I'm going, wow, it's better to not fight in front of your kids. It's better to learn how to be married. You can have it all now. You can have it all. Think, why did you get married in the first place? You got married to be happier. I'm going to take that further. You got married to be happier every single day of your life. When you learn how to be married, write this down. If I learn how to be married, proof of my knowledge of marriage is that I am happier every single day. That's the proof of knowing how to be married. There's one other reason why you get married, which lends itself to the happiness directly, and that is you want to learn how to love unconditionally. Where else are you hearing this? Why aren't we hearing this in our society? Our society is evolving. So these principles have not taken hold, but they will because they're logical. They're common sense. You got married in order to learn, to experience. Okay, I'll change the wording. You got married in order to experience unconditional love and to be happier every single day of your life. Those are the two bottom line reasons for marriage. Well, I'm going to ask you, what have you been doing that contributes to those two elements in your marriage? And the answer is nothing. Instead, because you have no idea of how to be married, and I'm not talking about these silly little things like the language of love, I'm talking about really having a plan. Everything you do in life has a plan, except for when you got married. You got married. You put so much planning, probably, into your wedding. Who should we invite? What color should the napkins be? What planning did you have for your marriage? What understanding do you have of your marriage? And this isn't your fault, you see. This is a common problem in our world. People don't know. And the Marriage Foundation, we interact with people all over the world. And I used to think, well, it's got to be much better in places like India, where they've been doing marriage for a lot longer than us, and they're family-oriented and like that, and no. And then I used to think, well, the Mormons, they seem to have pretty good marriages. Well, a lot of them do. They have a lower divorce rate, but because their family is not just the family of two parents and their children, the family is an expanded family, the community. But that's about it. Everyone else, it's a tragedy. It's a lack of understanding of marriage. And so what people do is they have their opinion of what marriage is supposed to be like, and they express their opinion, and people go to different people for their opinion. And my approach was different because I saw what happened. Like I said, I was a divorce mediator, so I saw these people. Guess where I got my clients? From therapists. None of them had the same approach to marriage. So when I started helping people with their marriages, I did it based on principles. Okay, what are the two bottom line principles? I already shared that with you. Be happier every single day. Experience unconditional love. And then it becomes a plan. How do you do that? So what do you do with all the problems in the past? You forget about them. You can't fix them. Fixing them is like having a plant with flowers and flowers, or having problems. It's the plant that needs the work, not the flowers. So learn about marriage. Stop everything now. Get your marriage healed. It's not so difficult. The principles that I discovered are fairly basic, simple, common sense. You won't run into any of them and go, oh, I don't agree with that. Common sense, like you wanted to get married to be happy, happier every single day, and you wanted to experience love, because there is no greater anything than love. And what better place to experience it than in your marriage? So really, that's it. So you need to learn about marriage. Now, if your marriage is in so much trouble that you're behaving this way in front of the children, probably you're moving towards divorce. And in the back of your mind, if not in the front of your mind, it's just a matter of time. And so I say to you, we have courses, a course for men and a course for women. Take it. Minimum, read one of my books. So you start seeing marriage in a different way. You start seeing it in a more realistic way. Because it's not realistic to get married, have trouble, and get divorced. That wasn't the plan. Even though you knew over 50% get divorced, you knew your marriage would be different. Now, some didn't. Some people used to come to me and say, well, you know, I knew it was a crapshoot. Oh my God, that's so sad. So let's get rid of that part. Let's get serious about making your marriage amazing. And then you don't have to worry about what it's doing to your children. But I promise you, there's plenty of studies out there that will define all of the bad things that happens to the kids. But you know, I say it's like this. If you drop a glass off of the table, you don't know where the shards are going to go, you just know it's going to break. Same thing with your kids. So that's it. I hope this is useful. You could learn more about marriage by subscribing to these videos, but you need to go further than that if you're at this point. You need to learn how to be married. Make this a positive thing. What's happening now, this is the stimulant for you to get real about your marriage and gain all the benefits of marriage. It's not over. This won't hurt you. It won't remain with you for the rest of your lives, blah, blah, blah. It's not like that. When you're walking towards the darkness, but then you turn to the sun, you're in the sun. All right. You can leave a comment if you'd like. I'm happy to respond, to interact with you. If you want to learn more, I'm here for you. And so is the foundation. The foundation, if you're having a problem, write into our counselors. They will help you. I'll help you. We're here for you. We're nonprofit. We're not here to make money. We're here to help you. So blessings to you, blessings to your spouse, and blessings to your family and your kids. Take care of them. They're precious. God bless.